What's up?
How's it going?
Have I ever told you a funny story about that? What
Uh, Possibly, but go
what
let it rip. Yeah, because
I did?
possibly not.
What year would that have been that commercial was out?
Oh man, yeah, like the Bud. It was Bud Light, or
I
it
only
was.
say like 2005 to 2008, somewhere in that time frame.
All right, I was thinking a little earlier, but okay, yeah,
Maybe it was.
yeah.
So, um, my brother-in-law's name is Dan, and coincidentally, at the same time, so was my daughter's soccer coach.
Okay.
And so just like you just did, what's up, right? Uh, I got a phone call and I'm like, hello. And they said, this is Dan. And I said, what's up? And the next thing I heard was soccer practice is canceled today. Like,
Uh,
I think he had said his name was Dan anyway.
it was teed up for something like for him, like he. Yeah,
No, no, it was me being an idiot.
I love it.
Hilarious. Great picture you just sent of your grandson watching Rush.
There's a story behind that. Yeah, he's a bit of a convert. I've been
Okay.
trying to. He's like a sponge, at 2 years old, and I've stumbled across a couple like videos. We usually do Disney stuff when he's here, and
Yeah.
but in my YouTube history, there's videos, and we found a few that like some ZZ Top videos, and well, today I found Roll the Bones,
Oh,
and
classic.
he loved like two-thirds of the way through the skeleton is doing its thing, but
Yeah.
there's so much more to it than that. Like, and in the name of Jimmy Olsen, um, the easy like why are we here?
Because we're here.
Yeah, why does it happen?
Because it happened.
Yeah, so he got that. Like, well, these videos exist, but then we got in a pretty heated philosophical argument about, fate is just the weight of circumstances, and we took these two heated
He's three. He's two. He's
two,
three.
well, two, yeah,
Yeah. Nice.
but no, he just rolled the bones. He must have said so. When Anna came to pick him up, he's like, "Mommy, roll the bones, roll the bones." So, like, yes. So she sent me a picture of him apparently insisting on wanting to watch that while watching dinner tonight. So I had to share that with you.
I love that. That's a great picture. I have something I wanted to share with you.
Yeah.
A project I did maybe 2 weekends ago. So, uh, Amy's from Rochester,
Yep.
right? So, are you familiar with Brockport?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So, my dad grew up in Rochester.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. My dad's sister still lives there, and that's where my grandma. And I think it's because his dad worked for Kodak, and there must be a Kodak facility there.
Facility. It's like where Kodak was born. Kodak and Xerox, huge, like employed
Okay,
half the city. Yeah.
I probably knew that at one point, but anyway, his dad was a engineer at Kodak. His dad was on the team that invented the first underwater lens. It was pretty cool, right? He's on the patent for that.
Yeah, it would have been useful for us a couple summers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what I've done with my life, but so,
Patents are, yeah, that's special. Yeah.
so anyway, are you familiar with in the 50s that kids were really into the space race?
I'm not aware of, I mean, I'm aware of the concept, and I know that, getting into space first before the Russians was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
huge issue of national pride. Yeah.
So my dad, I mean, his dad was an engineer and my dad became a chemist, so he was into the science and they made rockets. So we're not talking about the cardboard tubes with the Estes two, little solid engines, right?
But your dad was a rocket scientist.
I mean, amateur. He
Oh, just the labels, just what? That's awesome.
sure. So They made steel pipe rockets with liquid fuel. Okay. So these puppies would travel 5 miles. I mean, a steel projectile for traveling for 5 miles. So apparently there was a park in Brockport called Kendall Park. I don't think it's still there, but it's on Lake Ontario. And I think they would launch them out into Lake Ontario. 5 miles, they're just going to drop into the water. No big deal, right?
Yeah.
And it was something he did with his dad and his science teacher from high school. Okay. So I have one of these rockets. So when my parents died in 2015, I told my brothers, "Hey, I don't want anything except I want that rocket." And so I got the rocket. Now this particular rocket, if I'm not boring you too much, this particular rocket, it was a test rocket. They launched it down into the ground. It traveled 4 feet into hard packed ground. That's how powerful
Oh.
these are. So I'm going to show it to you in a second. You'll see they didn't have a nozzle on it either. It's a flat top. And so just from the pressure, the down pressure, the pipe like bowed at the top. It's amazing. So I got the rocket and I've had it for a couple years now and I've wanted to do something with it to display it. So
Right.
I went on YouTube and figured out how to do spray paint art planets. And I want to show you what I made. And I got an article from 1958 of the police report of them. They launched, they went over to Kendall Park, launched one. It went sideways and blew a hole in a pavilion. Anyway, and
Really
then
went sideways.
uh, I've got his rocket mounted here.
Oh my gosh.
The plans, and this is the article in the but anyways, this is it's I don't know, I'd say it's 14 inches long steel pipe.
All right.
Can you imagine that thing flying through the air?
No, that would. I'm trying to use a camp equivalent of wherever the head boys counselor was and personnel director. We're about to talk to a personnel director and
Yeah,
Ardith Murray Feissli. Yeah, if they could have a telescope on boys ball, a rock fight starting up, and then just have it launch right there, that would break it up quickly.
I think so. Anyway, that was my project.
Well, is there a way to see online like a video demonstration of how that worked?
Of how their rockets work? That's a good
Yeah,
question.
not
I mean,
tonight, but yeah, going forward, I would love to be like see the
I don't
impact.
think, I mean, just like Jimmy Olsen said, your video shouldn't even exist.
Yeah,
But, yeah,
4 feet into the rock going down. That's
4 feet just straight down into the ground. They dug it
awesome.
out,
Cow.
and I've got it. I mean,
Good.
I love that I have that from my dad from when he was
Oh
a,
yeah,
a teenager.
and a rocket scientist. Don't let
Rockets.
that go. That's real. Like yeah, you just
That's
proved
great.
it. Patents and
Again,
everything.
what am I doing?
Yeah. You're connecting the world back to each other in its
Hey,
right place.
by the way, I looks like we're twinning today because I wanted to be more like you.
Oh, I'm hoping we're the last. Well, you're further south than me. I'll probably have a few more weeks of this, and you'll be rocking a sleeveless shirt or something. And
Yeah, it was chilly today, so I was wearing this. Ardith, I think, is going to be on in a couple minutes. I think we should take a look because we have some news that we typically.
yeah. You want to release it? Big news, man. You've been on this. You've been on this case.
Let me show it.
Future guests.
All right, so we usually start out with this slide.
Yeah, we got a ledger. We got a north-south ledger that's about to have a seismic shift.
Yes, we've put the check mark on.
There we go. And Tim Sandoval also has just reached out to me and said he wants to join. He
Right.
was out of the country, but the big news right there in slot 2.
We've located Beth. Thanks,
That's
with some help from Catherine. So that is
that's well done. Yeah, she
well
sent me a
done.
message and I failed in my attempts, and Bruce O'Byrne gave me some good tips, and they didn't pan out. But Catherine came through. Yeah, very cool. So Beth is excited. She's a little apprehensive, as you saw in the text. She's like, "Wait a minute, you guys, after all this time, want to just put me on the podcast without us catching up first?" And we're like, "Well, we'll see. Like, I have a baby." Like,
We do. Hey, I'm not drinking water tonight either. I got some chai tea
chai tea.
because it's chilly. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. So that's very exciting news
It
because
is. Yeah.
we've been working on that for months. So I'm really excited. Thanks for Catherine's help getting that figured out for us.
Yes. That was huge. Appreciate her.
All right. Let's take a look at this as well. This is impressive,
Yeah.
right? And we've got Ardith Murray Feissli tonight.
Yep.
And I think Beth Dodds and Tim, you said they're lined up as well.
And Tim, yep, he might be coming on next week. Peter Young also might be, and his book just got released, and he's the youngest brother of Keith Young and Bruce Young, for those of us from that era.
We need to get his first book. I've read his second book.
Yeah, I cannot wait for Tom. I'm sitting here thinking I cannot wait to have Pete on a screen and you on a screen, and you asking him about that second.
I've got questions.
Oh man, me too. I can't wait to hear your questions because I've talked to him about it, and wow, for you to say that you knew or have known someone like the person he was writing about, blew me away. I'll leave it at that, but you don't want to miss that episode when it comes out.
No, that is going to be super interesting. That's going to be fantastic. And I think, well, I want to read his first book, which I think was more of a novel.
Yeah.
And is this third book more of a novel as well, maybe?
The third book is the second one's the one that you read about a family member that ended up being a cult leader.
Yes.
And Peter was not afraid to call him that, and he shouldn't have been because it was. And the first book was about him as a college basketball player, and that particular figure didn't come into play that much in that book. But in the third book, it's a continuation of his character in the first two, where that cult leader, as a family member, quote uncle, comes out and really influences in a negative way. He has to deal with it. And that's the book that's coming out now, which I pre-read, and I appreciate that. And having read the second book that you have, you'll know enough to understand the premise of it. So anyway, but so how do you set up Ardith Murray Feissli?
I'm excited about this. She gave us some great pictures. I'm gonna take advantage of those pictures.
Sure you are.
So I think we should let her in and let's get started. We got a lot to go through with those pictures I have.
Let's do it. Yep. Yeah.
All right, let's bring her in. Oh, I want to ask her about that too.
Oh, remind me about the Ed Shoot text too.
Okay.
I sent you a text from Ed Shoot about the preseason paint. Hardly urgent, but
I saw that.
Did you see it? Okay.
I saw that.
Yeah. It wasn't government brown, whatever.
LA brown.
Yeah. Good weather this weekend in
DC.
Woo, nice. It changed a lot. The other day it was like going to be 59 or something. Today it's going to be like 81 on Saturday.
Oh,
with a chance of 60% chance of protests against Tesla or something. But
what's ironic is that I know that's
right?
There's so many there.
Yeah.
Northern Virginia has so many Teslas driving around.
Yeah, the world it's hard to make sense of anything anymore. But Ardith just texted. She said, "Hey, all right,
Oh,
There
look,
you go.
I'm here twice.
Do you want
You're
me to?
twice. You really mean it.
I can
Really,
kick the other. Do you want me
Not
to remove?
Raymond.
You want me
What's
to
that?
remove the other? I'm going to remove the other Ardith. What do you think?
Yeah,
oh,
do that.
Bye, Ardith.
Bye.
The other Ardith.
No, actually, I don't think it's too bright, Raymond. Can you guys see me okay?
Yeah,
see
it's
it perfectly. Well
All right,
done.
I'm
perfect.
gonna fill the screen so I can see you guys. Hi,
All
how
right.
are you?
Great to
Excellent.
see you.
Yeah. Where you're calling in from Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm in Fort Worth.
Fort
Fort
Worth.
Worth. Okay.
Yeah, Fort Worth, Texas.
Excellent.
Been here 27 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Tom's
So
been throwing around how long it's been since we've seen people like 33, 35, whatever. 27 like is a big chunk of that.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I spent in.
Look great.
Thanks. You guys
Great.
too. You dressed alike.
I know. That's on me. That's on
All
me.
right, mine is tan for the record. I might have real.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Screwed up.
I'm a tan. Except for
2009, 2010, I spent a good amount of time in Fort Worth.
Did you?
When I started at Kaiser Permanente, my first job was to shut down their office. They had an office, I don't know, 500 people working there, and they moved it to Denver.
Oh, okay.
So
you're dressed like the Grim Reaper.
no, that had already happened, and the people I was working with, they all moved. A ton of people moved to Denver, and
Sure.
they're still there. So
Mm,
I mean, there was a little bit of that, but
hmm
they all had good offers to move. Kaiser moved out of Texas, and so they couldn't support having that staff there.
Texans love Colorado, so
They should.
yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
definitely do. So it's just a little drive for us.
That's not that bad.
Yeah. There's a big region of the country, but
So tell me how you got to Fort Worth then, because you're from New York, right? I think Poland, if I'm not.
I am from Poland, and there's a
We'll get
Camp
into
of the
that.
Woods connection to how I got to Texas.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. So one of the good friends I made on staff was Karen Eno, now Karen
okay.
Eno Murphy, and she was dating a young man who she had met at Miriam Danielson's wedding.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm also good friends with Miriam, still am. And so Steve was his name, and he had moved to Texas, and she thought, I've got nowhere to be. I could move to Texas too. Anyway, they didn't last, but she stayed in Texas.
But Texas did.
Yeah,
Texas.
she stayed in Texas, and I came down to help her move apartments because I had left camp and I hadn't decided yet what I was going to do. I had, a job offer in Miami working on with the Molders. Remember
Yeah.
Dave and Mara Mulder? Well, Dave was offering me a teaching position in the school where he was.
No way. They were like in music staff, right? Or
Yeah, Mara was on music staff.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
So I came down to help Karen move apartments, drove down, and I was, between jobs, and I thought, well, I could work where she's working, make a little bit of money. It was at a ministry just south of Fort Worth, and to have enough gas money to get home to New York. So I worked, I don't even remember, maybe 3 weeks down here. And in that time, the assistant to the director of the ministry had been looking to retire with her husband and go on the mission field. Her mission field was Vermont. And so anyway, after me being there 3 weeks, she went to the boss, Billy, and said, I found my replacement. So now I had an offer in Miami. I'm not an offer here in Fort Worth. In Miami, I knew a few people. Here, I knew Karen. Money better over here, climate better in Miami. And I thought, okay, I'll pray about it. And it came back Texas. I was like, for sure? Really? Okay. So I went home, got my stuff, moved back to Texas, started working there, met my husband. My kids are Texans. So
all right.
how I got to Texas was through meeting Karen Eno at Camp of the Woods.
That is cool. Yeah, the fact that there's still a camp thread that
Yeah.
led you through all that.
Yep.
I
So
love
So
it.
you said the climate was better in Miami than Texas, but you still chose Texas?
I did. I did. And I
I
don't know if I would have enjoyed Miami very much, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
did
know. The climate to
love
me
Texas.
seems, at least Fort Worth has a kind of seasons, right? Miami's
It
just,
does. It does. North Texas is a lot different than South Texas for
yeah.
sure. But for a New Yorker, it was just hot.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah,
Right.
I've been there in August. I walked from that office building across the street to, I think it was like a Potbelly's sub shop, and in 100 yards, I was soaking wet. It was so hot and humid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first summer, Karen and I made a real rookie mistake. We're like, hey, let's go play tennis. We get to the tennis courts 10 a.m. We're like, no one is here. This is awesome.
So
Yep.
You know, 12 minutes later, we're done. It was just,
Yeah, it gets hot.
yeah.
It gets hot.
Well, that's
But
cool.
you
Yeah.
don't have the snow. I mean, it does like sleet and sometimes snow, right? But it's not New York.
no, not even close. No.
Yeah.
In
No.
fact, before I went to camp in 1990, I was living in Amherst. And yeah, so I was living in Amherst, working in Williamsville. And yeah, I remember the snow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had no idea you were in Western New York too for a bit.
Yeah, living with a couple of Houghton friends that we had
Oh,
graduated together and they were working out there.
all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, I've got a lot to get through here. Art.
Okay.
Let me
I
start.
know a lot.
You're on the hot seat, artist, but you're no
Can't wait.
stranger to that. Yeah, we were talking about
It'd be great.
taking over as personal director, and so
Yeah, we've
yeah.
interviewed your predecessor.
I know. I watched that one actually.
Okay. Okay.
It was dark, wasn't it? Like literally dark.
It was pretty dark. Yeah. I noticed that. I'm like, it sounded like Bob, so I'm sure.
Yeah. I was talking to my
What's
Aunt
his
Carolyn
first-
about that. She's like, I saw your Uncle Bob's, and yeah, he might have wanted to throw a light on there, but well, we love him.
That was his first Zoom call, wasn't it?
All about interrogation. Yes, it was.
Yeah. That's true. It did feel like an interrogation with the lighting. I love that.
It was all for dramatic effect. Yeah.
Ah,
All right,
blast from fast. Okay.
we're gonna start with, you sent us some great pictures. I picked a good number of them to go through. Some of these people I don't know. You'll have to help us out. But the first, and then there's some funny stuff. There's the first photo though isn't of people, but I think it's a piece done. We've talked about it with a couple guests, but not really seen this visual, which is really cool. I think this is what Bob would bring on campus
Oh yeah.
recruiting. That's really cool that this is preserved for us to see, because
Yep.
I never saw it because Don Purdy recruited me. So
Yeah, I inherited that from Bob.
okay.
And yeah, for 3 to 5 weeks in the winter. The first year was 3 because I think, your dad, Don, and your granddad were thinking, we're not so sure about her yet. So let's just have her 3 weeks on the road representing us. By the time I finished, I was like up to 5 because it's winter and I'm ready to be somewhere. But yeah, so if you look on the right of the picture, there's a case there. That was actually 2 cases that this thing would fold down into.
Right over here, yeah.
Yeah, one was for the blue part and the rest of it for the pictures. And I would load up Gordon's station wagon for 3 to 5 weeks on the road, and I would travel around to all the colleges like Bob did. And I just kept adding more colleges. I got down to Georgia. I think the furthest west was, Trinity and, Chicago area. And then down to Cedarville. And I did as many as I could do and tried to do, their summer college work fairs.
Yeah. Oh
It was
my God.
fun.
I remember seeing that at Houghton. Yep. You brought it. I don't remember, this specifically, but that there was a display, and Houghton already had
Yes.
so many that came, but
Right.
What stands out to me here is Tapawingo. I mean, never really thought about it, but you probably were recruiting for counselors on Tapawingo as well.
Correct. Now, I did not read their applications or choose them. Carolyn Ray did that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would, do the mailing and the collection of them and send them on to her.
yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. Can I ask too, why is Woodlands Conference Center called out its own? It's got its own slide.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Bob Purdy put that together, so I think he just wanted a title. And it is the year-round portion, so maybe that's why.
Yep. Which both of you know something about, which,
Right.
yep, we'll
Mm.
get into that too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that I woke up this morning and I thought about that. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a picture of it. So I
Yeah.
found it this morning and sent that on.
That's a cool picture that I never really thought about much, but it's pretty useful. Okay, here we go. Some people.
Okay, you know Beth?
I remember her.
Yeah, Beth Errol.
Yeah.
So that's in 1988.
Okay.
Probably the last perm I had.
Hair is awesome though. It's just
I had hair. Yeah, I had hair. And it looks like it was Christmas and August week. I see.
There you go. That red ribbon hanging there.
Yeah,
on the,
yeah.
well, yeah.
So,
I cropped it some, but there's like tree branches here, right?
Beth is a fountain of knowledge too about camps, and
Yeah.
she used to come up and help in the wintertime, and she would stay with me when I was living in Woodlands too.
Okay.
Where did she live? Like permanent? Where was her?
She was in Pennsylvania back
Okay.
then, and I believe she went to Messiah, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But yeah, so we had met in 1988 and hit it off. She's fun.
And that was 88. So
That was 88. Yep.
right. So we were talking about that because Lori and yeah, you had a cabin arrangement where Lori.
Was it Amy, Lori, you, Ardith, and
Kathy.
Kathy? That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a great summer, but I have to say that living in those cinder blocks in Girls Park,
Yeah.
that was brutal. I mean, that was tough. So
How
it's probably, I was like, oh yeah, Kat, right, Amy, yeah, because we didn't spend any time in that room. It was
Right.
small
I've
and
talked to Lori about it. I've talked to Lori about it. She said, "Yeah, I remember that, but I don't think we spent much time in the room."
Amy said
No.
the same thing today when I told her I was going to be talking to Ardith. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Ardith!" I said, "Well, yeah, and you roomed with her, right?" She goes, "Well, kind of.
Right.
We sort of did. We were in the same, building, but then there was these dividers that were, and yeah, it's funny.
It was, yeah, and it was so damp. It was underneath all the trees, but also like the bathroom showers leaked. So
Oh,
all my shoes got ruined. The clothes smelled like musty. It was, yeah, I don't think they're there anymore. I think they got rid of all those cinder blocks. And of course,
Can
I
I
hear
go
nobody lives in
back? I
Poor
want to go back a slide. Did you share that when you were talking to people?
No, I did not. I think I blocked that experience out. No, I mean, that's the only place we slept. I mean, we just slept there, and the rest of the time you'd want to be out and about camp anyway. But there was no common area like an Onondaga for the girls. There would be this
right.
downstairs, and it was not a great design for staff. So
Yeah, interesting point. No common area where you can hang out on the couch.
we used to laugh and say that we could tell that a man had designed it because they put the rods for the clothing too low, so that the long dresses and stuff, especially for music staff, we would be on the floor, and then the doors for the bathroom stalls were too shallow, like it was too shallow for the door. So you'd have to get in, turn around, then let the door close, and it might hit you on your knees if you were like 5'10".
Oh gosh.
So it was, yeah, it would.
I remember landscaping it in the preseason, raking the rocks and the sticks and everything out of there. But designing it, no, it looked fine to me, but I couldn't picture myself living there. So
Oh, they were great roommates, though. I have no complaints about them as
yeah,
roommates. Just the
like
building. Yeah.
It'd almost be better if you did, but okay. Should we should we be concerned about the choking sign that you're under?
So I don't know. I worked in the Hill, and honestly, it's been so long, and it was such a great year. I think Jay Briggs was the host. I
ah,
think it was Jay and me.
yeah,
So, and I got hired on real late. So, I wasn't sure what I was out of college, and I had been working for over a year in Utica at an engineering firm.
okay.
And, that was a fine job, but, I was young and I'm like, do I really want a 9 to 5 and sometimes Saturdays yet? And my friend Karen Earl, do you remember Karen?
That name is
She would have
familiar.
been on
Yeah.
staff in the mid to late 80s as well. She was head girls. She worked in the nursing before head girls, and she's from Poland. And
Okay.
she was coming up, I think, to be head girls in 88. She's like, well, why don't you just see what's open? And apparently dining hall hostess was open.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have to.
So maybe working with Jay and the choking thing, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. Be aware of any contingency.
We just released Jay's video last Thursday, and his second video comes out this Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. And again, I'm not 100%. I may have done it mainly on my own, but I feel like he was assigned up there.
Well, I remember, I would occasionally, my mom and dad had that dining room back there
Yes, yes.
and so, by 87, 88, when I was living with Tom, and most of my meals were in the main dining area, but I would try to catch up with my parents, once a day, and usually that would mean either lunch or dinner in that back room, or at least every other day I would try to get there. And my mom was still, and Ken Reed was
Yes.
still kind of in charge of the dining hall. She was in charge of the counter, the ladies on the counter, and Ken Reed was in charge of like everything behind the counter, and your domain was everything kind of like outside the counter, all the ABC sections and the servers and everything. So y'all worked together. But I remember you would come in that room, like at least like one time every meal, and just give her an update. There was like a count of how many people, but then, you would have like your intangible sort of, I noticed this or that, or, this was going out kind of slow, or this was going out well, but whatever it was, she just always appreciated the fact that you would check in, and she just liked you,
Oh,
and she respected you,
yeah.
but loved the fact that you would come in and just talk for 5 minutes during a meal.
Yeah, I didn't remember doing that often, but I did like your parents a lot, and it was always kind of a place of quiet in the middle
Ah,
of all of the stuff
little
going on.
sanctuary for, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When I started, like I said, I did hire on late, and I wasn't part of preseason. And I remember Joanne and Ken sat me down before, like the guests arrived the week before, and they told me, all about how to run this, and that I needed to start out firm.
Mm.
I think your mom said firm, and Ken said mean or strict.
Yeah, right.
And that I could always loosen up later, but I never could pull it back if I didn't start out. So
Good
that was
point.
good advice.
Yeah, yeah. So, you seem to have a real good handle on it and the comfort level that I never saw you like, uh, stressed beyond like, oh my gosh, you were just, there was of course stress, but it never seemed to get the best of you.
It was fun. I mean, you're working with the guests and the music staff, and yeah, everybody. It was fun. So this looks like it might be in the salt box.
Okay.
Not 100% on that, but with the dark paneling, maybe.
Okay.
So that's Angie Hunter that's speaking, and you probably don't remember her. She only did the summer of '88,
Okay.
and then her next plan was to, and she was actually a couple years older than me, so I would say mid-20s
Okay.
at the time. And her next plan was to go on the mission field.
Okay.
So she was on music staff. She is a musician. She still is. And so she got to wait on the porch with, I think, Paul Langford that year because they were the older. He was the older, more, worked his way through seniority, and she was older, already graduated, maybe even grad school. I'm not sure. But
Right.
she's probably talking about something very meaningful and interesting, as you can see.
I
And
will
she
tell
was,
you, the people that are listening are locked in.
They are.
she was phenomenal, and she's still on the mission field. Me and probably some others started supporting her, and she's with Greater Europe Mission, and I still support her to this day.
Wow.
Amazing.
So she's in Germany.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is her ministry called again?
Greater Europe Mission. And so she uses music to, she also started her own ministry called Eurobrass. And they actually tour. And every 5 years or so, they'll come and tour some of the US. So I got to see Eurobrass here. But
All
she
right.
uses music as ministry in Germany. And yeah. So
All right.
the others, I think that's Bobby Van Vliet or something like that. Don't quote me. Tina
Okay.
Faust. That looks like Tina Faust. Beth St. Cyr down in the corner. Not sure the back of the
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a little tougher.
Yeah. No. Teach us.
These guys.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So fun friends.
All right.
They were hilarious together. They were so welcoming to me, and the two of them in the office were just great.
Yeah. So on the right, of course, is Tracy. So Tracy Purdy Olson, and the left is Amy Briggs Mayer, and so yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So yeah, Tracy has been listening and watching, and I know she's going to enjoy this. And but I know she loved you. This is a cool picture. She'll appreciate.
It's a great picture.
Every few years, Tracy and I connect. The last time was maybe COVID, in the COVID years, through Etsy. Somehow.
Oh yeah,
she popped up as a suggestion. I'm like, wait a minute.
Olson's trademarks. Yeah, she does.
Yeah. So
business
that was
on there,
fun.
Yeah. Great shot.
We've collaborated on Etsy.
Oh, and of course,
She's quite talented. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's very talented. Yeah. I have things that she made for me that I still have. Some are from Christmas, for Christmas decorations, so I pull them out every year. I'm like, oh, Tracy made this. I remember that.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
talented. You see the bowls behind Tom. He made those, and they collaborated on.
I sent her a bunch of unfinished bowls, and she's painting them, listing them, and selling them. So she sold several already.
I'll have to go look. I have not seen the
Really
bowls.
cool, yeah.
So you're a woodworker, Tom?
Wood turner.
Wood turner. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the whole shop, just a lathe, really.
Well, let me brag on my husband Raymond just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
please.
he is a hobbyist woodworker, and he taught himself to build guitars.
Wow. Okay, that's next level. That's difficult. I've seen videos on what you have to do there, and that's not easy.
Yeah, and he enjoyed it, but he's over here, I think, listening, and he will say he's slow, but they're beautiful when he's done. Very, very.
Wow.
And they sound good too.
So
All right, Raymond.
Raymond,
My current project, I'm gluing up 4 ambrosia maple 8-quarter. I think they're about 38 inches long. I'm going to make a 36-inch clock out of all that.
He's coming.
Right.
He said, I don't know if you heard him, but he said, wow.
Yeah,
Hey, how you doing?
Hey Raymond, I just found a a store near me called Local Wood, and I just picked up some very expensive ambrosia maple I had a clock that sits right out here, and it stopped working. And I tried to fix the mechanism. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own. And it was big. It's a 36-inch clock, so now I'm recreating it. So
Wow.
it's not what I would call woodworking. It's wood turning because I'm gonna put it on my lathe and do an outboard turn. It's big though. It's gonna be big.
I'm impressed. I don't know how to put a 36-inch disc on a lathe.
Well, the headstock slides all the way off the end, so it's going to be hanging off the end of the lathe, and I rigged an outboard tool rest. It'll be fun for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Wow. So I watched a documentary. It was with David Gilmour of Pink Floyd, and he obviously as a guitarist, he likes to play every different kind of guitar possible, and someone made him aware of this person in England, Liverpool or whatever, that was making guitars, and he went there and saw how they were made, and he was, talking about like the curves in his hands and everything. It was like, wow. And just what all goes into that, for a guitar, I can't even imagine, like to have the strings, like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension on that neck, so I know that's not
300 pounds.
easy. Yeah, I don't know, but it's also really thin. You're working with veneers, and yeah, I bought a cherry veneer to put on this clock to go with the maple. So it's either going to be an expensive disaster or really cool. I'm not sure which.
Whatever it is, I admire both of you so much just for trying to do that stuff. Like
Yeah.
the amount
I'd love to see pictures or actual guitars, Raymond. That would be really cool.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
We might need
Yeah.
to do another.
Here we
Like
go.
whatever we can get now, and then in future episodes, like we have people that 2 episodes before couldn't get pictures, but then found them and then shared them with us, and
Here
so
it comes.
this was an ongoing thing. Oh, there's a guitar right there. Awesome.
Are you
Cool.
kidding me?
Wow, you made that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Holy,
Isn't it pretty?
Gosh.
awesome.
So
Is
that's
that
maple
bird's eye
and
maple?
walnut.
Is
Yeah.
that bird's eye maple on the neck? What kind of maple is that?
Flame maple. It looks like when you
Oh,
close
Lord.
in the light, you can see it looks like it's got flames on it.
That is incredible. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
This is my
I'm
personal
just
one.
screwing around when I mess around in the lathe. That's real art. I admire you for doing that. That's something else. Now,
I had a mentor that was really good at teaching me, and he has since passed away. But
wow, that is something.
I haven't played it in a while. It's all covered with dust, but
Okay.
All right.
takes me about a year.
I'll bet. I mean, that looks really hard to make it look that simple too. That's something else. Thanks for sharing that, Raymond.
Thanks for asking.
Exit stage right.
That's very cool. All right.